core in the performance of all the other programs, actually including PDM. Our recommendation is that community mobilization and mindset change program be prioritized. Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to skip the consistency of Minister of Gender to the NDP3 to also go on that members can read about the legal compliance of the ministerial policy statement to the PFMA. And then I go to page 10 about the gender and equity assessment for the ministerial policy statement for Ministry of Gender, financial year 24-25, in accordance with section 13, subsection 15G, 1 and 2 of the PFMA 2015 as amended. The minister responsible for finance, in consultation with Equal Opportunities Commission, shall issue a certificate. A, certifying that policy statement is gender and equity responsive, and specifying measures taken to equalize opportunities for men, women, persons with disabilities, and marginalized groups. The 96% score for Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development with respect to gender and equity planning and budgeting is commendable and exhibits a fair compliance with the law. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg that we go on and members can continue to read, and then I take you to, for purposes of time, I take you to page 14. The off-budget support for Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development for financial year 2024-2025. As shown in the table below, which is table 6, off-budget for Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development is to the tune of 1.78 billion, and the Gender and Social Protection Sub-Program takes the lion's share of the budget by 46.1%, followed by the Labour and Employment Services Sub-Program with 37.3%, and lastly, the Community Sensitization and Empowerment takes the least share of 16.1%. Our observation as a committee is that Community Sensitization and Empowerment Sub-Program, which is very critical in bringing the desired socio-economic transformation in the communities, has much lower off-budget of 0.295 billion when compared to other programs, including the Human Development Program. The recommendation is that the Ministry of Gender should embark on a robust resource mobilization effort by engaging with more development partners to support interventions under this very critical program. Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to take you to page 17, and honorable members, to committee observations and recommendations. Right Honorable Speaker, vote 018 for Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development is what I will start with. And observation number 1 is on restoration of funds reallocated from the ministry when finalizing the budget for financial year 2023-2024. The committee was informed that during the process of finalizing financial year 2023-2024 budget, the Committee on Budget made a reallocation of 32.9 billion from Ministry of Gender by labeling the associated items as consumptive. The reallocation affected and left zero allocation for food and non-consumptive food items to remand homes and rehabilitation centers for PWDs, subventions to special interest groups and councils and other institutions for women, youth and PWDs and older persons, and the Children Authority and the Interreligious Council, the Public Library of Uganda, the Uganda National Cultural Center, flagship programs of the ministry like UWEP and YLP, the special grant for older persons with disabilities, special grant for older persons, the green jobs, the chemical safety and security programs, CHESASE. The committee was further informed that a supplementary budget of 30.2 billion was processed to correct this anomaly in the financial year 2023-24, and the expectation of the ministry was that the fix would be mainstreamed in the MTEF and that the funds be reinstated in the preceding financial years. It is, however, noted that in the financial year 2024-25, ministerial policy statement has not taken care of these critical shortfalls. Our recommendation is that Uganda shillings 32.9 billion be reinstated and mainstreamed into the budget to comply with proper budgeting principles and avoid the non-provision of critical services in the ministry. 2. Food and non-food items for children and youth institutions and persons with disabilities in rehabilitation. And 3. The committee observes the need to provide food and non-food items under subventions to juvenile remand homes, rehabilitation centers to support their operation. Provision of food and non-food items in the vocational rehabilitation institutions to facilitate trainings for young people with disabilities and vocational skills so as to enhance their employability to support their operationalization. The available funding for this activity is 0.755 billion out of the required 1.50 billion, thus leaving a shortage of 0.745 billion. Our recommendation is that the Ministry of Finance avails 0.745 billion to cater for food and non-food items for children, youth institutions, and PWDs in rehabilitation. 3. Mobilizing communities to embrace the parish development model. The committee notes with concern that Ministry of Gender is the lead institution in the implementation of Pillar Number 5 on community mobilization, mindset change, and cross-cutting issues. This pillar supports and inspires communities to appreciate and effectively participate in development programs. The pillar was allocated only 1 billion out of the required 7 billion in the first year of the program, and subsequently no allocation of funds in financial year 23-24 as well as 24-25 National Budget Framework Paper. In the Ministry of Gender Ministerial Policy Statement, there is a Uganda shillings 5 billion critical funding gap from the deployment of the PDM sensitization manual guidelines. The committee further noted that the uncoordinated nature of funding for community mobilization, whereas it is the mandate of the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development to implement the National Community Mobilization Strategy, which is already developed, funds for community mobilization are spread out across various institutions. This makes it difficult to coherently implement an effective community mobilization campaign. Our recommendation is that 5 billion should be availed by Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development to coherently implement an effective community mobilization campaign for the parish development model in communities. Number 4, establish and operationalize the Kiswahili Council. The committee was informed that Cabinet, under Minute Extract number 437, CT 2022, approved the waiver to establish the Uganda National Kiswahili Council in order to recruit and pay staff salaries equivalent to Uganda shillings 1.5 billion and initial operations of the council of Uganda shillings 3.5 billion. This requires resources in the financial year 24-25 to support the ministry in this undertaking. The Uganda Kiswahili Council Bill 2024 was read for the first time and is under consideration by the committee. The committee was further informed that the establishment of the Uganda National Kiswahili Council is a regional commitment of the East African Cooperation. Notably, Kenya and Tanzania have already established this council. This was meant to have been effective from financial year 2023-2024. However, the ministry was not allocated any funds to this effect. Ministry of Finance should provide 10 billion for the establishment of the operationalization of the Uganda National Kiswahili Council. Observation number 5 is on the increased social sector development grant allocation to local governments in financial year 2024 and 2024-2025. The committee noted that for effective mobilization of communities, the Ministry of Gender and other government entities are working toward enhancing effective mobilization of families, communities, and citizens for national development, and achieving strengthened institutional capacity of central, local government, and non-state actors. This can be achieved by full operationalization of the community-based services at local government level. The social development grant meant to support the coordination of community-based services in the district.
Chair, sorry for the interruption.
Yes, Patron.
Honorable colleagues, you know, we have statutory obligation, statutory deadlines on these reports, and I would want more debate. We have tax bills coming, so since the reports have been uploaded and members are reading, Chair, go through the recommendation so that the time we save, we can give it members for debate. And then the whole report will be captured on the answer. Rather than reading for long and then we have 10 minutes of debate.
Most obliged, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Chair.
The recommendation for number 5 is that Ministry of Finance should reinstate the social sector development grant by an additional 6.36 billion to enable full functionality of community-based structures in districts and sub-counties. Number 6, on the implementation of Cabinet's directive on emoluments to traditional leaders. Right Honourable Speaker, our recommendation is that Ministry of Finance avails 31.330 billion to cater for the implementation of Cabinet's directive on emoluments to the 17 gazetted traditional cultural leaders. Number 7, on the construction of palaces for the ITESO. Right Honourable Speaker, allow me to correct and remove ITESO and put Lango, because the ITESO one and the Kumam budgets are taken care of under the Ministry for TESO Affairs. So we have Lango, honourable members, Tenga Dola, Buruli, and Rwenzururu kingdoms. Recommendation is that Ministry of Finance provides 17.2 billion for the construction of the palaces for the Lango, Tenga Dola, Buruli, and Rwenzururu kingdoms as directed by His Excellency the President. Number 8, implementation of the externalization of labor program. Right Honourable Speaker and honourable members, our recommendation is that Ministry of Finance provide the funding shortfall of 2 billion for the implementation of the externalization of labor program to enhance safe and decent external employment. And 2, a fund should be created to manage and operate the externalization of labor. Number 9, provision of counterpart funding towards interventions under the GROW project that are not provided for. Right Honourable Speaker and members, our recommendation is that Ministry of Finance should provide the 0.500 billion as the government counterpart funding for the GROW project in the financial year 2024-2025 budget in fulfillment of the government commitment. Number 10, the National Apprenticeship and Graduate Volunteer Scheme. Our recommendation, after noticing a shortfall, is for Ministry of Finance to provide the shortfall of 18.096 billion to the Ministry of Gender in financial year 2024-25 to provide at least 1,000 work placements for educated and semi-skilled young people, including graduates and school dropouts, annually for purposes of skills acquisition through apprenticeships and volunteer programs. 11, withdrawal, rehabilitation, and settlement of street children. Right Honourable Speaker, our recommendation on this is that Ministry of Finance provides money worth Uganda shillings 5 billion for the withdrawal, rehabilitation, and settlement of street children in all the, from all the urban centers of the country and not only KCCA. 12, special enterprise grant for older persons. Right Honorable Speaker, our recommendation is for Ministry of Finance to enhance the financial year 2024-2025 budgetary allocation to SEGOP by providing 9 billion to accommodate the growing number of eligible older persons who should remain in the money economy. Number 13, integration of international and national ceremonies, Labor Day and Women's Day, in the ministry's budget. Recommendation is that Ministry of Finance avails 1.661 billion to cater for the integration of international and national ceremonies, Labor Day and Women's Day, in the ministry's budget. Right Honorable Speaker, you are aware, like the members are, that Ministry of Gender, through the National Council for Women, has been availing 3 million to each district for the national celebrations for women to the district level. And so this money has been removed in the ministerial policy statement. We would like it reinstated. And so 1.661 billion be put back so that members are not tasked with the financing celebrations, so that members are not tasked with the financing celebrations. Right Honorable Speaker, number 14, supporting the Juakali enterprises to transition into formal economy program. Right Honorable Speaker, our recommendation is that Ministry of Finance avails 18.6 billion to support Juakali to transition the young people and the women entrepreneurs into the formal economy program. Right Honorable Speaker, this is one area where we can tool those young people we are skilling without tooling. So I implore members that we provide this 18.6 billion to support Juakali. Number 15, elimination of child labor and school dropout program. Right Honorable Speaker, our recommendation is for Ministry of Finance to avail 17.72 billion to the Ministry of Gender to support this intervention. 16, decent work increased and enhanced. Our recommendation is given the need to address the challenges above, government is required to fund decent work country program as a program for workers in order to enhance productivity, and a budget of 16.2 billion is required for this activity. Subventions under Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. National Council for Persons with them perform their oversight, monitoring of disability inclusion at district and lower council levels. Clearing gratuity areas. We recommend that Ministry of Finance avails National Council for Persons with Disabilities shillings 0.750 billion to cater for gratuity areas as notified by the internal and Auditor General's Office. Renovation of the council offices at Kireka Rehabilitation Center. Right Honorable Speaker, requires 0.460 billion to the National Council for Persons with Disabilities to cater for the renovation of council office premises at Kireka Rehabilitation Center, as this would fulfill the right to physical accessibility by PWDs. National Council for Older Persons, conducting civic education for older persons in the 4 regions on the electoral processes. Our recommendation is to provide 0.3 billion to enable council conduct civic education and sensitize older persons on the electoral processes in the preparation for the coming elections of 2026 in the 4 regions of the country. Funds to 176 cities, districts, and municipal councils meant to support operationalize their councils for older persons and at the lower local government levels. We recommend that Ministry of Finance provides 2.1 billion to be disbursed to districts and lower local government councils in all the 176 districts, cities, and municipalities to enable them ease their operations. Commemoration of the International Day for Older Persons. and the World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Recommendation is to avail 0.16 billion to cater for the commemoration of International Day for Older Persons and World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Prevention of elder abuse and access to justice through a regional dialogue with key stakeholders requires Right Honourable Speaker that Minister of Finance avails 0.15 billion to cater for promotion of justice and prevention of older persons abuse through the 4 regions. Parish councils for older persons trained on their roles requires a 0.46 billion to be availed for the training of older persons on mobilization, advocacy, data collection, and monitoring of the participation of older persons in government programs, including Parish Development Model, SAGE, and SEGOP. Geriatric courses developed for training in all health training institutions. We recommend that 0.2 billion be availed by Ministry of Finance to enable the Council to engage the Medical and Nurses Council, the Academia, National Council for Higher Education, and Ministry of Health to undertake the process of developing geriatric courses for training in all health training institutions. National Women Council on skilling, tooling, and offering an alternative livelihood peer-to-peer training to 5,000 teenage mothers for 50 local governments. We recommend that 3.1 billion be availed by Ministry of Finance to National Council for Women as an intervention that will reduce the teenage pregnancy prevalence, hence reducing and saving the government unnecessary costs. The 146 district cities women councils supported to national level to commemorate International Women's Day 2025, 3 million that is required per district and city. Minister of Finance should avail 1.805 billion to National Council for Women to enable them to support successful Women's Day celebrations at districts and cities and municipality levels. On supporting National Women Council to execute their mandate through Women Council's institutional support, we recommend 0.638 billion be availed to National Council for Women to enable them undertake successful implementation of government programs. National Youth Council has a recommendation that 3.43 billion be availed by Ministry of Finance for the procurement of the 202 motorcycles for the district, city, and municipality youth leaders to support them with the supervision of beneficiary youth groups in YLP and PDM for better recovery of funds and effective participation. National Children Authority conducting a national mapping exercise for child-headed families in Uganda. Our recommendation is for Ministry of Finance to avail 300 million, that is 0.300 billion, to enable National Children's Authority to conduct a national mapping exercise for the child-headed families in Uganda to establish their levels of vulnerability and provide statistics for planning and intervention. Carrying out a national survey on the street children phenomenon to inform the national program on the elimination of street children in Uganda requires Right Honourable Speaker and members 0.250 billion be availed by Ministry of Finance so that it is carried out. Recruitment Industrial Court. On recruitment of 3 judges for the Industrial Court, our recommendation is that Ministry of Finance avails 1.350 billion to cater for the recruitment of the 3 Industrial Court judges. Recruitment of staff within the approved public service structure. Ministry of Finance should avail 0.522 billion for the recruitment of 45 staff members to fill the vacancies in the structure. And for provision of adequate space, premises for Industrial Court, we recommend that 1.2 billion be availed by the Ministry of Finance to cater for adequate space, premises for the Industrial Court to enable it to carry out their mandate effectively. digitalization of court halls. Right Honorable Speaker, our recommendation is for Ministry of Finance to provide 4 billion to Industrial Court to enable it develop and cater for digitalization of its court hall. Uganda National Cultural Center. The subvention, Right Honorable Speaker, on the subventions under National Cultural Center, our recommendation is that the Ministry of Finance avails 9.126 billion to UNCC to enable it pay for salaries of its staff, operation expenses and gratuity areas, feasibility study process and tendering through a public-private partnership arrangement for redevelopment of the National Theatre. This requires 0.7597 billion to be availed for the redevelopment of UNCC land and renovation of the National Theatre as a national center of excellence for art and culture in Uganda. Actually, they require 7 billion, Right Honorable Speaker. I think there was an error there. Development of 2 regional centers, again under UNCC, requires that Ministry of Finance provides 22 billion for the establishment of at least 1 regional cultural center. Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to go to vote 124 under Equal Opportunities Commission. Right Honorable Speaker, members will allow me to skip page 439 and go to page 41 on actual outputs for EOC at half year, and the committee observes that the performance of some indicators were above target while others were below and others had no performance at all. Our recommendation that Equal Opportunities Commission sets realistic and measurable indicators to enable easy assessment of value for money in the next performance reporting. The other observation we have is on 15.4, page 42, on gender and equity assessment for ministerial policy statements, Equal Opportunities Commission, financial year 24-25. And honorable members, this is done in accordance with section 13, subsection 15G of the PFMA. And we all know that the performance for EOC now is 91%, lower than some of the other agencies, when actually it is the implementer. So as a committee, we recommend that EOC pulls up their socks because they cannot fail to walk the talk. On page 46, 15.6, I think I'll skip that, Right Honorable Speaker. I would like to take members to page 50, page 50, observations and recommendations. Scaling up the implementation of gender and equity planning and budgeting for both local and central governments. Our recommendation is that 6 billion be provided by Ministry of Finance to Equal Opportunities Commission to enable it to cater for the comprehensive implementation of the gender and equity planning. Number 2, comprehensive research and report on the state of equal opportunities in the country requires that Ministry of Finance provides 2 billion for the Equal Opportunities Commission to carry out this comprehensive research and report on the state of the equal opportunities in the country. Tribunal hearings and public inquiry to create access to social justice. The recommendation is that Ministry of Finance provides 3 billion to cater for tribunal hearings, as this would lead to increase in access to social justice. Strengthening the capacity of state and non-state actors to mainstream equal opportunities and affirmative action in all policies, laws, plans, programs and practices. Our recommendation is for Ministry of Finance to avail 2 billion to enable Equal Opportunities Commission undertake the strengthening of the capacity of the state and non-state actors to mainstream equal opportunities and affirmative action in all policies, laws, plans and practices. Right Honorable Speaker, Annex C has the list of all our budget priorities where we seek budget enhancements and budget provision. Right Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, I beg to move that the budget for the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development and the Equal Opportunities Commission for the financial year 2024-25 be approved. Right Honourable Speaker, not as per the table 15 below, but at the appropriation bill, some of the figures changed, Right Honourable Speaker, and so the table now that seems to be latest provides that under the recurrent component, that the total recurrent is now 171,207,684. Development component, total development component is 207,922,331, and the overall total for vote 018 is 379,130,015 or 15,000. Then vote 124 under Equal Opportunities Commission, recurrent component is 16,952,879,000, and the total on the development component is 194,400,000. So the overall total for Equal Opportunities Commission is 17,147,279,000 as per the appropriations bill that was laid, Right Honourable Speaker. However, our prayer as a committee is that committee observations and recommendations also be strongly considered as per Annex C. Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Wow. Honourable colleagues, I will pick only 10 members. Okay.